It was Christmas Eve 2008, in the quiet tree-lined suburb of Covina, California. Inside the home of the Ortega family, the air was thick with the scent of pine and holiday cheer. Dozens of family members, spanning 3 generations, had gathered for their annual Christmas party, a tradition filled with laughter, carols, and the simple joy of being together. The lights on the Christmas tree twinkled, reflecting the warmth of a perfect family celebration. But outside, a figure was approaching, a man dressed in the iconic red suit of Santa Claus, carrying not a sack of toys, but a meticulously planned arsenal of destruction. This was not a visit from Saint Nick. It was the arrival of a man consumed by a cold, calculated rage, ready to turn a night of festive peace into a scene of unimaginable horror. Remember to comment, like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss future episodes of the Calendar of Crime. Coming soon to Substack. The man behind the mask was 45-year-old Bruce Jeffrey Pardo, a seemingly ordinary electrical engineer whose life had recently been shattered by a bitter divorce. His ex-wife, Sylvia Pardo, was one of the guests at the party, the primary target of his malice. The divorce had been acrimonious, marked by accusations of hiding assets and a court order for Pardo to pay a substantial settlement. The loss of his wife, his home, and his financial stability had festered into an all-consuming obsession for revenge, a dark impulse that he had nurtured and refined over months of careful preparation. He saw the family celebration not as a gathering of innocents, but as a single, concentrated target for his final devastating act of spite. Pardo's plan was a chilling testament to his methodical nature. He had acquired 3 semi-automatic handguns and a custom-made device, a pressurized, tank-fed sprayer filled with racing fuel, rigged to function as a powerful, improvised flamethrower. To ensure his escape, he had purchased a plane ticket to Canada and packed a suitcase with cash and a change of clothes. The Santa suit was the final grotesque, a perfect disguise to disarm his victims, and a symbol to forever corrupt the image of Christmas joy. Every step, from the purchase of the weapons to the timing of his arrival, was designed to maximize the shock, the chaos, and the body count. At approximately 11:30 p.m., Pardo knocked on the door of the Ortega home. When the door was opened by an 8-year-old girl, he was greeted with a joyful, innocent welcome. The child's momentary delight quickly turned to terror as Pardo produced one of his handguns and shot her in the face, a brutal act that instantly shattered the illusion of safety. The sound of the gunshot was swallowed by the sudden screams of the partygoers, but the attack had only just begun. Chaos erupted as Pardo moved through the house, firing indiscriminately into the crowd of family members. He shot his ex-wife, Sylvia, and her parents, Joseph and Alicia Ortega, before turning his attention to the rest of the guests. People scrambled for cover, diving under tables and attempting to flee, but the house was packed, and the exits were few. Pardo was relentless, moving from room to room, ensuring that his victims had no chance of escape. The festive music was replaced by the deafening sound of gunfire and the desperate cries of the wounded. Having inflicted the initial carnage, Pardo unleashed the second, more destructive phase of his plan. He sprayed the racing fuel throughout the house, targeting the Christmas tree and the carpet, before igniting it with his flamethrower. The accelerant-soaked home exploded into a raging inferno almost instantly. The fire was not just a means of destruction. It was a deliberate attempt to erase the evidence, to consume the bodies, and to ensure that no one survived. The heat and smoke were overwhelming, forcing the few remaining survivors to desperately crawl out of windows and doors, watching in horror as their family home and their loved ones were engulfed in flames. When the fire department finally managed to extinguish the blaze, the scene was one of utter devastation. The house was reduced to a smoldering ruin, and the search for victims was a grim, painstaking process. In the end, 9 members of the Ortega family were confirmed dead, including Sylvia Pardo, her parents, 2 of her brothers, their wives, and a nephew. The sheer scale of the tragedy was staggering. A mass murder committed on a night meant for peace and goodwill. The only person who escaped Pardo's direct attack was the 8-year-old girl who had opened the door, who survived her injuries and became a key witness to the horror. Pardo, having shed the Santa suit and the heavy weapons, drove to his brother's home in Sylmar, California. His escape plan was already unraveling. He had suffered severe 3rd-degree burns on his arm from the flamethrower, And the suitcase of cash was nowhere to be found. It had been incinerated in the fire. Realizing his meticulous plan had failed and facing the certainty of capture, Pardo chose his final act. He used one of his remaining handguns to take his own life, ending the rampage but leaving behind a legacy of profound grief and a community forever scarred by the Santa Claus killer. The Covina massacre remains one of the most shocking acts of domestic violence in American history, a stark reminder of how quickly personal grievances can escalate into public catastrophe. The Ortega family, a vibrant, loving group, was decimated by one man's rage. Their story is a somber chapter in the calendar of crime, a tragedy that serves as a chilling counterpoint to the joy of the holiday season, forever linking Christmas Eve with the memory of the 9 lives lost. Thanks for watching. Please comment, share, like, and subscribe for future episodes from the calendar of crime.